Welcome to the first ever This Week So Far, shorter episodes designed to inform and entertain your ever-inquisitive eyes and ears. What a start we have, as this past Tuesday was Election Day. Oh my gosh. And Zhoran wins! Yes! Oh my gosh. That is the news, frankly, period. Wow. Stick it into the GOP. Gosh, I just love it so much. Pepper some of that Mamdani-wana in your pipes and smoke it, GOP losers. Goodness gracious. It feels kind of like a turning point. It feels turning point-ish to me. Maybe not you. Hopefully it does to you, but maybe not. Even with a little sort of last-minute endorsement from, the Orange Prune, Cuomo still got his butt swiftly kicked. I think it was a 9-point spread, which, these days in the U.S., the battles tend to be pretty close, and 9 points in favor of Mr. Zhoran seals the deal pretty effectively. Not only that, not only did they righteously batter the Cuomo booty, but then, oh my gosh, then he gets up on stage and in his acceptance speech, acceptance speech? Is it an acceptance speech? Anyway, after the announcement, he gets up in front of camera and looks straight at the audience, straight into the camera's eyes, and says, "Trump, turn the volume up." Ugh, swoon. Swoony, swooneroo. Oh my gosh. I absolutely adore Zohran. I think this is great for a million different reasons. I went to school in New York. I lived in New York for half a decade. It's very much part of me. I live kind of adjacent to New York right now. I'm next door in Connecticut. So New York is kind of like a big part of who I am. So for me, seeing Mamdani come in and kick some butt, ousting the old white regime, man, what more could you ask for? And it seems like he's immediately taking action, getting to work, and kicking butt. I believe, if I remember correctly, I think Zohran is a millennial. I'm kind of curious, do y'all think Zohran is a gamer? I know he's got that sort of musical background, and there's some old videos of him, I think he's actually rapping, generating lyrics as they do. But I thought it might be fun if Zohran cosplayed as a Zora, perhaps at a con, or maybe like Halloween, something like that. I tried to get the AI to create that, but again, the AI refuses to generate my mashups of political figures. And back on the lists I go. The other thing that stands out, besides the sort of narrow view of just New York, broadly speaking, Tuesday was big. This is the tip of the big, beautiful blue iceberg, one might say, my handsome American friends, and non-Americans if you're watching. We're literally flipping seats from red to blue like hot Johnny cakes. Shout outs to my Virginia peers, where some really big numbers were put up. Here's a quick breakdown. In Virginia, Democrats expanded the majority in the state House of Delegates. They went from 51 seats to 64. That's 12 to 13 red-held seats, now blue. Love that. Same cycle. Democratic candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger. She just smoked that Republican challenger, flipping the seat as well. I actually don't remember how close that one was, but I'd like to think it was not close. In the home state, Connecticut, here we go. Democrats made some really notable gains. There's some cities that flipped red, places like Ellington and East Granby. I'm sure you can tell by the names of those places that they'd probably be very red voting. And another one that stands out to me, New Jersey governorship goes to Democrat Mikey Sherrill. Love that. Mikey's a woman, just FYI, in case you were uncertain about the first name Mikey. But thrilled to hear about all these fantastically blue flipperoos. Yeah. Now my favorite part. Why it matters. Why does it matter to you? Essentially, the results are being interpreted, at least sort of by many of my peers and folks I'm seeing in media, as a warning sign for Republicans. Yeah, especially for the next election cycle, 2027. There's going to be other big things happening. I don't know. It's coming up. It's going to be great. So flipping these key seats, for example, in Virginia, opens up some potential map control, right? There's a lot of talk all of a sudden these days about good old gerrymandering. Hate Gerald. And all this gerrymandering stuff is happening everywhere. And in this case, we might be able to use the gerrymandering to the Democrats' favor. Frankly speaking, the Republicans and GOP only represent the wealthiest of the wealthiest. So for now, getting Democratic folks in these places might allow us to then open up more Democratic seats in the future. Huzzah! Even more blue. The other thing I want to call out here is there's sort of that emphasis on affordability, housing, healthcare, K through 12 schools. A lot of the messaging has shifted in campaigns from the kind of culture war narratives to more economic issues. And I think that's potentially a good thing overall. I also want to make a couple of predictions. Bad news is the Dirty Don is already desperate. You probably saw, whether you wanted to or not, because it's always in the news, there were several mean tweets, very angry tweets about Zhoran. Something about, now there's a communist running New York City, blah, whatever. I feel that this type of stuff and all the blue that has spread across the country in places like Virginia, I have a feeling that this will create even more unhinged tweets, right? I think that's kind of just a given. But I think it also might force them to accelerate their timelines on the overall fascism plan. Because here's the honest truth. Trump doesn't want to leave. He's bulldozed half the White House. He's building his ballroom, all this other shit. They're enriching themselves every day. They're destroying healthcare. They're making us look like idiots on the world stage. Frankly, now, undeniably, across the country, the people have voted against this nonsense. And not in a small way, like in a big way. That's amazing. But I think that will also cause some recognition on leadership that the GOP goose is cooked here. Sorry, folks. We're serving goose breast. And I think that means that basically Trump is going to try to make that sort of crazy martial law move or something like that to try to secure power permanently. So pay attention. Again, don't miss the narrative. Release the Epstein files. I think we're getting close. Maybe, I don't know. I guess the government shutdown is right now causing slowdown in that, but whatever. Let's keep cruising. Speaking of the government shutdown, we now mark the longest government shutdown in all of the history. Thanks, Republicans. We all know it's you, and no one is fooled. A couple of sources here. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees are furloughed, and that means millions more are also working without pay. Stupid, and I hate it. I don't know if you see my I voted sticker, but I sure as heck voted on Tuesday. Food assistance programs. Yep, SNAP, of course, deeply affected. It's putting strain on food banks and low-income households. I'm sorry, if you're not paying attention, the lines at food banks are terrifying and heartbreaking. If you can donate food, if you can donate money, if you can do anything, please do it. Reach out to your local community, get involved. We have to all stick together to make through this tough spot for us to then make progress on the other side of it. I'm sorry, it's going to suck a bit more before we start to fix things. Third, with this government shutdown, economic cost. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office projects billions lost in GDP every single day. So that's bad. So the longer the shutdown lasts, the more ripple effects we have, the more state budgets, social programs, and potentially all the important stuff gets disrupted, and naturally that's going to play into the upcoming election environment. Our third story today, unfortunately, sad news from Kentucky. There was a horrifying plane crash in Louisville, and it killed at least 7 as of when I read the news about this. So here's what happened. A cargo plane operated by United Parcel Service, aka UPS, Brown, crashed shortly after takeoff, basically leaving the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky. This happened Tuesday, November 4th, basically resulting in at least 7 deaths, potentially 11 injuries or more. I have a cousin who's a pilot, so these kinds of things are always sort of hitting close to home to me. But friendly reminder, and I know this may be a little adjacent to UPS and the rules for transporting packages and things like that, but all of this happening just causes greater scrutiny on the airline industry in general, not just distributing goods via flight. We're looking at old planes. I think this plane that crashed, in the news I read, it was not young. And there are many examples of 30-year-old or older planes in service all over the place. And that's obviously an issue. I just want to remind you that the FAA was musked the F up something fierce earlier this year and is currently being run by a reality TV star who, as far as I could tell, has absolutely no relevant piloting experience or any flight experience other than taking lots of commercial flights maybe, which doesn't count. And cruising right along to our next news story, U.S. announced sanctions on North Korean bankers for laundering stolen cryptocurrency, which is kind of fascinating because there seems to be a lot of pardoning of cryptocurrency people. And apparently we're also announcing sanctions on North Korea. So mixed messages, one might say. Some other diplomatic and defense developments. So, for example, the U.S. is expanding military cooperation with South Korea. That could be considered maybe a signal of a strategic posture shift in East Asia. And then another notable personnel move. Kimberly Guilfoyle was sworn in as the U.S.'s first female ambassador to Greece. Now, wait a minute. Kimberly Guilfoyle, did I read that right? Guilfoyle is now the U.S. ambassador to Greece? Oh, good. Another heinously evil sycophant in a place of inappropriate power and influence. Let's review why she sucks. Number 1, sexual harassment allegations at Fox News. This is a fun one. In 2020, basically, investigation by the New Yorker, Guilfoyle was accused by a former Fox assistant of repeated sexual harassment while at the network. That included some really fun stuff like displaying herself naked, showing photographs of genitalia of the men she's had sex with, and other interesting fun things like requiring her assistant to sleep over at Guilfoyle's apartment. We're off to a strong start. They settled out of court for $4 million, of course, so kind of like a Matt Gaetz, a female Matt Gaetz. It's great. Her role in the Trump campaign, also very polarizing. This is number 2. Basically, she went from media, sort of the Fox personality, to sort of a cog in the Trump apparatus. And she became a key fundraiser and advisor for Trump in 2020. Her speech at the RNC of 2020, the Republican National Convention, was loud, dramatic, and got some criticism. And very specifically, let's talk about why. Number 3, she described herself as a first-generation American in her 2020 speech. Her father immigrated from Ireland. Her mother was born in Puerto Rico. It's just a weird thing to say, to even draw attention to. And it's unfortunately kind of like what I dislike most about this is it feels like a thinly veiled supremacist dog whistle sentence. First generation American, please. Imogen Heap has a few words for you, Guilfoyle. Now the latest is she's U.S. ambassador to Greece with a lack of traditional credentials. Let's just put it that way. This was a clear-cut case of rewarding loyalty and not appointing someone with relevant experience. But of course, DEI is the issue, right? Yeah, not hiring meritless evil white morons. Come on with this nonsense. Past remarks and commentary that raised eyebrows. Lucky number 5 as to why Guilfoyle sucks. She referred to the Greeks as freeloaders in the context of the European Union Greek financial crisis back in 2015. That's on her Wikipedia page. It wasn't even hard to find. It's on her gosh dang Wikipedia page. This should be fantasy, y'all. Like, this should not be reality. We live in unreality right now. Oh my gosh. And in case you didn't hear it, in case you missed it, Lindsey Graham said some really evil crap. Something like we ran out of bombs and we're killing all the right people. So, as we end today's episode, I extend to you, Lindsey Graham, a heartfelt, I hope your dick gets caught in a ceiling fan. And on behalf of all Americans, enjoy this sumptuous fuck you. Thanks for watching. Have a great week.